What's up and welcome back to the Kind of Funny Gamescast. It always gets me. Every once in a while, the gym just has a mind of its own and the camera fix. Barrett, I'm so sorry. I'm
I'm on the show.
Everyone's excited for AI until it turns like, well, I wouldn't even watch this shit. It just goes away.
I think that must have been programmed for the Sonic one. The camera was just like, I want to go away. But
it was scared that the weird image baked in on the wall was going to pop up again, so it wanted to avoid showing that again.
That was so weird. To this day, I don't understand how that happened.
Yeah, it's really weird. Again, Andy was saying that there's premiere updates and stuff like that. Something weird came in through the Matrix.
That was weird. You know what's not weird? This show, the Kind of Funny Gamescast, is happening live for Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024. Of course, I am your host, Tim Geddes. I'm joined today by the Big Daddy.
Hi,
Greg
Tim.
Miller.
How are you? Nice hat. Not.
Yeah.
Got it.
I just watched Wayne's World and Wayne's World 2 for the first time in many years.
Wayne's World 2 is so
first
good.
time ever. All right?
God, I every day this woman better thank her lucky stars that she met you and you stole her away from these fucking libraries she was hanging out at. You know what I mean?
Know.
Never.
I'm culturing her.
Fucking didn't know Batman, didn't know anybody in Marvel, didn't watch Wayne's World.
And let me tell you what, Greg.
What did she think of her first Coca-Cola?
Hold up,
Was she Amish? You know what I mean?
I for a time, I'm ish. You know what I mean? There's an energy today, and it's not good. I need to get a fucking
great
haircut.
energy.
It's
We're
fucking
on
great. I
fire.
haven't even introduced the Dark Knight himself, Barrett Courtney.
Hello, I'm very tired. I got here at 8 in the morning.
We got a lot of fun
Barrett's
going
killing
on.
every round of applause for Barrett.
Round of applause. Roger, I love you. Oh, shit, Roger's coming in the room.
Yeah, Roger for the software just hit ultra slow and hit start. I restarted
We're doing
the
our
gym.
best here at Kind of Funny, everybody. We're having a great time doing it because even when things go off the rails just a little bit, we're still having a great time. And we've been having a great time all day today. And we're going to continue to do that. Earlier today, what'd you do, Greg?
I streamed the first 2 hours of Batman Arkham Shadow with the devs from Camouflage, a little sponsored stream we did.
Fantastic. Did you have fun?
I did. Yeah, of course. This has been one to keep our eye on. I know it's a review all over the place, so I shouldn't go too much into it and burn too much. But yes, in short, I had fun. And more importantly, I think Camouflage, Ryan Payton, that team he's assembled are some of my favorite guests we have on it. Kind of funny because they are that last game we made didn't do this right. We didn't like that. Yesterday, they launched this game accidentally early. And so he was telling the story of how that happened. It's like, you don't get that transparency from a lot of different developers.
And you can watch it all. It's up on YouTube now, so you can check that out. Of course, if you want to be part of this show, though, you can YouTube Super Chat. So if you have any question about Arkham, anything about Arkham, any question for Barrett, any question for Greg, fuck it, any question for me about my hair, about my iced coffee, feel free to Super Chat in.
Without the beanie, you look like the hair, the way it drops down, you look like one of them TikTok kids.
Yeah.
You taking and talking?
I'm talking just a little bit. Little housekeeping, like I was saying, you already got the sponsored stream of Batman Arkham Shadow with Greg, Mike, and the devs. And then we got Games Daily. That was me and Paris Lily breaking down the Sakurai Super Smash Brothers teasing next game situation.
Got his ass too.
You got him.
Bald fuck.
Oh my God.
Wait.
Hey.
Give up.
Oh, we did.
Shave
Why
it
we
all
shave
off. Shave it. I mean, but I want to get Lex Luthor. Come on.
I mean,
have you ever been Lex for Halloween?
No.
That'd be really good.
I was once Walter White. Or no, I was Jesse Pinkman.
I remember that.
Yeah, with my buddy
too.
Ricky who did
You be
Walter.
Lex, and then this is where I start to Greg. You watch a fucking cartoon, read a comic book, you dorks, and then Alyssa could be Mercy, your bodyguard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I have no idea who that is. I do we do.
I
get
could
pretty
fucking
close.
walk in and be like, "Oh, I remember that guy who made a cheeseburger in My Hero Academia," and be like, "Oh,
Yeah.
this guy, Roger."
Shout out to my interview with the voice actors.
I could be the Jesse Eisenberg Lex right now.
You could show me a picture of this woman and I'd be like, yeah, she looks like any other female from any of the animated 90s DC
with
shows.
all due respect, sir, I don't know why fucking Roger picks the most like
Fucking Roger.
Here's this one. She looks like Lois Lane. Thank you for showing her from Superman, the animated
so much
series,
better.
the fucking hit series. Look at that Wikipedia right there. You're telling me Alyssa wouldn't kill that costume right there?
Dude, she looks dope.
Number one image. Wikipedia.
Top left.
Jesus fucking Christ. You know what I mean?
I like the liquid snake.
There's something ominous about like her boots also like pointing downwards, like she's floating.
Kick your
This looks
fucking
like
head off.
invincible shit. Anyways, everybody, shout out to our Patreon producers, Carl Jacobs and Delaney Twining. If you're a Kind of Funny member, I have great news for you. You're getting a Greg Way, which today is about
Today's Greg Way, I put in the thing,
Dry bones
was about making core memories. Also, should we save this guy's kid? Not your kid, but this guy on the road. It's a whole thing. Listen to it.
Okay. And you can get the October Kind of Funny happy hour where you can call in and talk to us on patreon.com/kindoffunny later today. It's going to be a fantastic time. Ignacio Rojas is hyped. We have confirmation.
Did he go to the Surly Wench in Arizona? That's all we need to know.
I doubt it.
He drove by it on the Muni or something, or whatever their public transit is.
We're brought to you by New World Eternum, Phasmophobia, Marvel Snap, and Shady Rays, but we'll tell you about that later. We got to start with the topic of the show. Batman Arkham Shadow review so far. First things first, let's rewatch Barrett's initial reaction.
I don't want to hear what he thinks of this game until I see this. If you don't remember, here it is. This is when we surprised Barrett. He didn't know what he was about to see, but we knew we had a new trailer to see.
That was my lean back of an excitement and lean forward or fuck.
The lean back was so excited when he realized it was Batman, and then the Quest logo popped up, and he was. Then here we go, just the depression.
Oh, you're gonna throw up.
And you're gonna throw up, he says.
You're gonna throw up. Gliding around this bat. That was a lot of rats. That was gross.
A lot of thinking. A lot of deep side.
Quest, Barrett. Arkham's back. I guess probably before Suicide Squad, but he'll sound different probably.
Arkham Shadow.
But Arkham's back.
It was weird because like the outline kind of looked like more of his Arkham Origin suit, which they
I
don't
fucking
really
called.
do in the other games.
Such a fucking dork.
Sequel to Arkham Origins, finally.
What the fuck, man? Like, why are we?
Fight Brainiac anymore in Suicide Squad? Got a lot of Brainiac.
Lovely moment.
Lucy James cameo in the back.
Batman's back.
Batman's back.
What a fucking flounder of a fucking franchise, man. It's fucking sad. WB missed me with this shit.
Damn, that was your stinging indictment on May 1st, 2024.
Yep. And here we are, October 22nd, 2024. Did you throw up, Barrett?
I did not. I can confirm I did not throw up after going through the options and definitely weighing.
You turn up that vignette?
Oh yeah, had to turn up the vignette a lot and playing around with either walking around or sitting. I played mainly stationary and playing around with all the settings and options and all that stuff.
So before we get into your thoughts on this whole thing, let me tell you guys that this is Batman Arkham Shadow. The developer is Camouflage. The publisher is Meta themselves. MetaQuest 3 exclusive. It's bundled with the headset, or it's $50 on its own. The official description, it's the 4th of July, and Gotham City is under attack by a new threat, the mysterious Rat King and his cultish devotees. As widespread rioting engulfs the city, Batman races to prevent the so-called Day of Wrath before it all goes wrong. The timeline is between Origins and Asylum, so Barrett absolutely nailed it there. The cast includes Roger Craig Smith as Batman, who, Roger, do you know who that is?
Sonic
and Sonic Generations, baby. And then the Rat Catcher, Kari Payton, the legend. We have Dr. Jonathan Crane, Elijah Wood.
Not his first VR game. He's had like a weird kind of history with doing VR stuff. He helped, like he was like doing development or doing like partnering with some studio on a VR game like way back when I was at IGN and stuff. I think it's just like kind of a medium he is really fascinated by. So
yeah, and then of course we have Harleen Quinzel as Tara Strong as Harleen Quinzel. So now with that out of the way, Barrett, is this a review? Or is this a review so far?
This is a review so far. I put in about 9.5 hours. We got code for this on Thursday, if I'm remembering that correctly. It was a tough weekend to actually dive in, life stuff. So I wasn't able to actually start playing this game until Sunday. So I put as much time as I could into it between Sunday and Monday. I usually don't love kind of reviewing games in progress and all that stuff. But I am very close to the end, I feel like. So I think I have a pretty good kind of grasp of how I feel about this game overall so far. And I would guesstimate that I have maybe 1 or 2 play sessions left. Usually a play session for me is like an hour and a half because that's when the Quest battery dies.
So obviously you're not going to give a final score on this, but I do want to ask you at this moment, what score do you think you're going to end up giving this game? Because that's what surprised me most when we first talked about this.
Oh, you know the score?
No, but I know the vibes.
So
I want to jump in because I don't know the score. And I know the vibe, I think, just from casually talking, but not into it. But like, it's got an 87 on Metacritic right now. And so I'm very fascinated to know if that's around where Barrett is.
So to kind of set up the vibe to go into the score, I want to bring it back.
And I don't want to cut you off, but I do want to point out that we did a sponsored stream for Batman Arkham Shadow today. The stream I was talking about earlier, I think I might have said it, but to call it out, it was sponsored. We made sure Barrett ran the board, but wasn't on that as a part of that to have an independent editorial voice. But if for some reason you're out there and like, oh, you can't, I don't want you to think we're hiding anything from you. Take it with a grain of salt if you need to, but also understand that
I won't hold back criticisms just because we had the sponsored stream earlier, for sure. To set up the vibe, to lead into the score, I want to take it back to Dan Stapleton's review of Arkham Origins for IGN that he wrote 11 years ago, which is insane to think about, because I feel like it's fitting to kind of bring that up for I would say, the follow-up to Arkham Origins. And it's specifically this line that always stuck with me. I remember very vividly the day Arkham Origins reviews went out. I was living a block away from City College, and I remember this specific line from Dan's review. Batman games are like pizza. Even when they're not very good, they're still pretty good. And in terms of the pizza analogy for Arkham Shadow, I would equate Arkham Shadow to a calzone. It's the same ingredients given to you in a different method. Some people like calzones. Some people, just want their pizza. Ladies, gentlemen, NBs, I really like calzones. And I really, really like Batman Arkham Shadow. And so far, 9.5 hours in, I would say roughly 2 hours, maybe 3 hours away from beating it. I would give it a solid 8 out of 10 on the Kind of Funny scale.
It's a calzone, baby.
It's a great calzone, everybody. Mamma mia. Ooh, that's awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was so worried. I told you when I gave you the code and you had to review it because of everything, or we're going to review it and there's redacted and yada. I was like, hey, if it makes you sick, if it does the thing, don't worry. Don't feel like you have to push through if you hate this experience.
Yeah, so going into it, like, I've not really played VR in any significant way, I think in like 3 years. Like, I had the original Quest, so I have not really like gone into this world in a minute, right? And so I was a little bit worried with like motion sickness and all that stuff. I was able to kind of find settings that like helped me kind of feel not too crazy in the VR space. So yeah, like after like an hour of playing, I was like, okay, I think I can actually like sit down and play this as much as I can for the next couple of days for this review. And yeah, I like, it really struck me in that first like hour or so of like, oh, the vibes are back, and like the Arkham world feels back in a very genuine way that I was really taken aback by, right? Like, this is from Camouflage Studio. We just had some of them in earlier today. Ryan Payton directing the game, and it almost felt like if you told me that WB Montreal had like kind of helped out a lot with this game, or if this was a WB Montreal project that they worked specifically for VR, I wouldn't have bat an eye. It really feels like a genuine follow-up to Arkham Origins specifically. And, our Origins definitely has its ups and downs. And, this game, I would say, has some similar things that I would kind of, ding it for some of the downs. But it really feels genuine in what they're doing, being part of the Arkhamverse in terms of adapting, the Batman gameplay to VR in terms of brawling, in terms of stealth. The story and the characters, I think, are really fascinating so far. And I really like that I am this deep into the game, and I know that there's still probably going to be some twists. There's probably going to be some reveals, and I don't quite know where that's going still.
Okay.
Whereas for other Arkham games, I feel like once you get to like kind of the first story beat, you're like, oh, okay, I know who the Arkham Knight is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I know what this story is really about and all this stuff. And I think they've done a really good job at like putting in their kind of like own take on an Arkham story, also in terms of the formula, right? Something that they talked about on the stream earlier was that this is the first game in the Arkham series that's not taking place in just one night. And I think breaking that mold, I thought was really, really smart and something very fresh. And I think that's one of the few examples that I think, we know that, there's possibilities of Rocksteady going back to the Arkhamverse and all that stuff. I think there are some really smart decisions that this team made that if a flat screen developer ever goes back to the Arkhamverse, they should be looking at this game of, how do we shake up the Arkham formula to make it still feel fresh and to make it still feel exciting?
Barrett, with that, I think that it's an important question to ask because I do know that there are some VR enthusiasts in our audience, but I feel like the majority of them are not. There's been a Batman Arkham VR game before, and I would say that is probably the majority of people listening to the shows, one of their touchstones to VR of, what's the best experience in VR? Batman Arkham VR. Everyone enjoyed that when it first came out on PSVR for what it was.
Yeah.
How does this differ than that?
So I never got to play Batman Arkham VR. I remember watching it and watching a playthrough on YouTube, and that felt definitely that was in the early stages of VR, right? That 100%. Was 2016.
That
I
was
want to
the
say
launch of PlayStation VR.
Yeah, and so that definitely felt more of like a tech demo showing off the technology. It was definitely, I believe that was Rocksteady themselves as well as like a passion project. What fun things that they can do in a Batman VR type of game. And this one feels more like a full-fledged Arkham game, right? Obviously, it's not open world. They've said that they've taken more inspiration from Arkham Asylum, and I would say even it doesn't feel like a full-on Metroidvania like Arkham Asylum. This feels a bit more linear.
Instanced.
In like kind of the progression of the story and all this stuff. But I think they've made some really smart things to kind of give a little bit of the flavor, a little bit of a Metroidvania akin to Arkham Asylum, where you're still getting gadgets throughout. Like, oh, I saw this thing back over here. Now I can unlock this little grate or whatever to get to this item, all this stuff. So, sorry, what was the question?
Well, I guess
jump
to
to
compare
great
that, because again, 2 hours of this, but back in the day, I played Arkham VR, right? Batman Arkham VR originally, launching in October 2016. That was much more, again, first steps into VR, and it was very much like you are static. You are standing there as Batman. You are detective moding, and then you're teleporting over there. You're doing this. There was no combat to that. That was investigations. It was throwing batarangs. It was putting on the cowl and being in a mirror and, marveling at being Batman. Whereas Arkham Shadow is the VR counterpart to everything that would be you expect from Arkham. And I, can't believe they nailed it the way they did. The story I told on the stream that I've told before about Iron Man VR, but then to jump in here to Arkham, right? Iron Man VR being what Camouflage's last game before this, right? Was the idea that at that first demo, after they revealed it at Gamescom, Iron Man VR, I went and did it downtown and Ryan was there. And when he's like, do you want the tutorial? I'm like, yeah. He's like, how does Iron Man shoot? And I went like this. He's like, okay, how's Iron Man fly? And I went like this. And he goes, great, you know how to play the game. Like, that's how simple it was to translate that. And so with what an amazing demo that was of like, hey, this is how you do it. Like, holy shit. To then jump at the announcement of Batman Arkham VR, or Arkham Shadow, it was like, how are you going to have me gliding around, punching all this stuff and not getting horribly sick? And the way they counteract all of it and make it work is so impressive, I think. Where it is, the adage that Ryan Darcy, the dev who's been on our stream twice now, always uses is that Batman doesn't walk across the room, right? He punches across the room.
Yep.
So it is the idea of your punches are your movements. So you're getting around doing that, which gives you such a sense of control on where you're going that I think when you're initially thinking of traditional movement in a VR game of moving the stick and having, the vignette coming in to then mix in also punching sounds nauseating. Whereas when you do it this way, it's like, oh, that works so well.
Yep.
And the same thing of gliding from rooftops in these instances, it is, oh, okay, I'm in control of it. I know what I'm doing. I know what that feels like. They've done such a nice job with that.
You brought up the word instance a couple times. What do you mean by that?
It's to what Barrett was tiptoeing on, right? Of like, it is an open world. So it is that, you're coming into an area, the door locks behind you, and then you're working the problem in this room or this area. It doesn't need to be one small room. It can be an area. There's a moment in the first hour we did today that I had done in my initial behind closed doors demo of, you're fighting through the sewer, doing all this stuff, and then you get out and there's the bat signal and there's Gotham City, and you drop into street of Gotham City, right? Where it is like you're on a very specific street that you're working your way around that's been closed down by Ratcatcher, bad guys, or explosions or whatever, right? So it isn't that you're Arkham City, I can go anywhere I want, but it is that, holy shit, I am in Gotham, I'm doing the thing.
Yeah, and I will say, like, I don't want to get too much into, like, spoiler stuff. I know the game's out, but
He's Bruce Wayne!
Yeah, oh god. But I still want people to kind of be surprised if they're playing through the game. I will say, like, the kind of opening chapter that you were playing, like, after that, there are instances where it does, I would say, open up a little bit more than just, like, an instance where, like, okay, you're going straight and then you can't go back. There's a little bit, again, not fully Metroidvania, but there's a little bit of them playing around with that type of stuff, for sure.
Yeah, and I think, again, to what Barrett was talking about and what they've been so adamant about is making this game feel like Arkham, right? And making it feel like the Arkham series. And like that first time I walked into the room and looked to the right and there was the grate on the wall. And I was like, I hadn't thought about a fucking Batman grate in forever. And you go over there and you grab it and you move it. I'm like, this feels like Arkham. This is what it is. And the Easter eggs and the posters and the rat trophies and the rat propaganda things to go get, the little secrets to get you off the beaten path.
So, Barrett, you're the biggest Arkham fan that I know, and Greg's here talking about a lot of the Easter eggs, gameplay, and all that stuff. But Calvin Perez super chats in saying, Barrett, I always love your insight on overall narratives and themes across the series. Does this game feel like it's adding something interesting to Arkham? I mean, I love that question specifically because you had your whole series, the Arkham Files, where you did deep dives into all of these Arkham games. Talk about that a little bit, about how you feel about the narrative threads of this.
It's hard to speak on that quite yet, just because I don't feel like I've seen it all come together to really get to the core of what this game is about, which is like why I wish I could have beaten by now to be able to like really dive deep into that. But yeah, my Arkham series was kind of each game kind of, I feel like, focuses in on a certain aspect of fear in one way or the other. I kind of see possibly where they're going with that story-wise, but yeah, it's tough a little bit right now to kind of see where exactly they're going.
But does it feel like they're going somewhere? Like, do you think at the end of this that you're going to be able to put this to, would you be able to make a video essay about this? I'm not asking you to do it, but like, does it have the meat there?
I think so. And honestly, like, I know the other games are very focused in on fear, but I think I haven't quite gotten the angle with this game yet, if there is one, but there are so many other things I think this game is doing story-wise that I find very interesting in terms of themes, in terms of character work, in terms of like really cool, interesting lore stuff that I think adds a level, a deeper level to some of these characters, more so than I would have thought about from the other Arkham games, which I find very impressive. And so, yeah, I think there's definitely stuff to chew on here. And yeah, that's like, again, it's hard to talk about it without talking about some of the specifics because, I don't want to spoil the game, but there's definitely some character work that I'm very interested to see, like how that comes to a head with some of the relationships between some of the iconic characters that you would see from other Batman games and all that. So, yeah.
I think even for the, demo I did here, right, like I'm a lapsed proponent of VR, right, where I've talked so many times. We did the PlayStation VR show, right? We were very all about it, and then since then, I feel like so many of the games have continued to be arcade-like experiences, right? What I talk about all the time, where it's like you play it for 5 minutes, you play it for 2 hours, you do whatever, and then you're like, cool, I don't need to do this. I always do it it's Dave and Buster's. I go and I play the arcade cabinet, and I have a lot of fun, but I don't need to come back to it. The 2 hours I did today dropped enough story breadcrumbs where I'm like, oh, I gotta get back to this. I gotta see this. Like, there's you were watching. I don't know if you were in the room for this, but like, there's all these bulletin boards of like, who is Batman? And then there's a bulletin board.
Such a great nod to the Dark Knight movie, where it's like one of the suspects is Bigfoot and like all that stuff. So funny.
And there's another one over there that I won't get into, but I was like, oh my god, is that who I think it is? At which point I'm like, I want to see them meet. Cool. If that's what they're teasing in this game, I gotta go see that. And then to get to the actual parts of the narrative, right? I played further today than I did in the Gamescom demo, and to get there and have it be that there's Jim Gordon, there's Harvey Dent, played by Troy Baker, of course.
Awesome.
Shake Harvey Dent's hand or not shake Harvey Dent's hand. Like, I shook it, but I didn't know I couldn't shake it, so now I'm not gonna shake it next time to see what he says. Right?
Cool.
Like, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. And then just the narrative and the performances, and it like, I think VR sometimes struggles so much at storytelling, and so just to be there as Batman, listening to these two bouncing back between Harvey leaves and Jim's like, meet me out here, I have something to say, and then what happens out there, I did something instinctually, right? We always, in these VR things, we always go back to, or at least I had to go back to Blood and Truth, right? The first time I ever did a demo for Blood and Truth, took cover behind a casino table. They threw a grenade at me. I reached up, grabbed it, threw it back at them. And then I was like, whoa, that just worked. That was just natural. The thing I did on stream today outside with Jim Gordon, which sounds horrible, but you know what I mean? Like the devs like, we've never, it's interesting to see how people handle that. Like I did it not as a bit, not as like, I'm just like, I'm in this video. I'm feeling like that's the kind of shit I want out of VR. Those are the experiences I want out of VR.
Yeah. To kind of bounce off of you, just like the story, world building, characters, and all that, I do want to shout out the one tradition that I don't know if Camouflage did on purpose, where every Arkham game has a different voice actor for James Gordon, which I find very funny and I don't think has ever been done on purpose. I forget the voice actor who voices Gordon in this game, but they mentioned that it was the same voice actor who played Deathstroke in Origins. They do a really good young Jonathan Banks, who many might know as Mike Ehrmantraut from Breaking Bad. He voiced Gordon in Arkham Knight.
Mark Rolston,
and they do a pretty like impressive like younger Jonathan Banks, and I thought that was really cool. And then I think something that feels so genuinely Arkham about this game that I continue to be impressed by is the little Easter eggs, whether they're lore or just like funny little things. Like the one goof that I think you might have missed, probably around the first time you get open a crate to go into the air ducts, is like there's a book you find that's like big air duct production stuff. That's like a funny like tongue-in-cheek lore bit of like why are the air ducts so fucking
huge
big?
in Gotham? Yeah.
And there's just like little things like that I think honestly for I would say a follow-up, a sequel to Arkham Origins is something that I really missed from Arkham Origins. Is I think like that game, I think they bit off a bit more than they could chew, where they wanted to double the size of Arkham City and all this stuff. And then in turn, I felt like exploring Gotham City in Arkham Origins wasn't as interesting because there was less of that. But because this is a more linear experience, they're able to get into the crevices of adding little Easter eggs and little goofs and stuff that really feel like genuine to more so Arkham Asylum.
And jumping into that and talking about that.
But before you jump in, Greg, let's hear a word from our sponsors.
This episode is brought to you by Phasmophobia. The genre-defining horror game is finally coming to consoles on October 29th, 2024.
What did you see? Okay, never mind, we're coming. Hello?
That's right, just in time for Halloween, the phenomenon that is Phasmophobia enters console early access on PS5, PSVR 2, and Xbox Series X/S with full cross-play supported across the platforms. Join the already almost 20 million players on Steam, including our very own Snowbike Mike, and get ready for some spine-chilling ghost hunting with up to 3 friends. Making sure you work as a team and utilize your equipment is key to making it out alive. It's almost time, Ghost Hunters. Phasmophobia is finally entering early access on PS5, PSVR 2, and Xbox Series X/S on October 29th. Wishlist now and prepare for the terrifying ghost hunts that await.
This episode is brought to you by New World Eternum. New World Eternum is a thrilling action RPG experience for console and PC players with a vibrant world, vast and beautiful setting, dynamic real-time action combat, and the freedom for players to choose how to forge their destiny. Combat is skill-based and dynamic, incorporating swords, guns, and sorcery so that you can build one character to rule them all as you explore Eternum and unravel the mysteries of the supernatural island that you can't leave. You love playing RPGs alone? You can in New World Eternum, or play cooperatively with your friends as you complete quests, get better gear, and level up. Greg played this at Summer Game Fest on PlayStation 5 and was caught off guard by how much he enjoyed it and how many hours he said he could see himself sinking into the final product. There's boss fights, cool enemies, crossplay, resource gathering, and crafting. So yeah, this sounds like a Greg game. New World Eternum is available now on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. This episode is brought to you by Marvel Snap. Y'all know Marvel Snap completely took over my life when it burst on the scene 2 years ago. I love it so much that I even mentioned it in my wedding vows, because to this day, my wife Gia is so obsessed that she has not missed a single day of completing her daily challenges. Marvel Snap is an award-winning collectible card game that combines deep strategy, a unique snapping mechanic, and your favorite Marvel characters with thousands of unique card art variants created by renowned artists to collect and use. Each game only takes about 3 minutes, so you can get in and out wherever you are. And with more than 270 cards in Marvel Snap with over 2,000 unique art variants, you'll always find some new fun. Marvel Snap just celebrated their 2nd anniversary, and to say thank you, they're throwing a party. Boosters, credits, variants, borders, and more are all up for grabs just by logging in daily, starting on their anniversary, October 18th. Download the Marvel Snap app now, available on the App Store, Google Play, and Steam, or visit marvelsnap.com to learn more. This episode is brought to you by Shady Rays. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium, polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers an unrivaled product that's just as good as any expensive pair that we've worn. Y'all know I've been outside in the sun a lot playing Pokemon Go, and it's such a great experience wearing Shady Rays when I am out and about looking dope. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair. No questions asked. Exclusively for y'all, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal. Head to shadyrays.com and use code KINDAFUNNY for 50% off 2 or more pairs of shades. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Again, shadyrays.com, use code KINDAFUNNY for 50% off 2 or more pairs of shades.
Tim,
Yeah.
I know we got a busy rest of the day, but can we just clear it all out just so I can play this game?
Finish it?
Finish it?
Yeah. Hey, dude, I would love for you to get back in there.
There's a happy hour happening.
Yeah.
Where we just take questions. Just come back here and play. Just play the whole time. If maybe got a question, they'll tap you on the shoulder, be like, yo.
I want to get into something about that in a second, but Greg, before the break, we want to say something.
Yeah.
No, it's a small one, but again, I think it speaks to why this game is something I will play at home and I will actually invest my time in, right? Versus the VR games that I play and enjoy. Again, I'm not talking shit about other VR games, but it's just for me, not I must play. It's the idea that I think there's this part in the demo that we ran into where Mike was interviewing the developers and I picked up a payphone, Tim, and then it had a thing and I started like putting in 415, like I was going to call someone an SF. And then you were like, do we have to mute this or take you off screen? Because they were going to put a real phone number in. And then they were like, oh, this is a fun thing we did actually, where there's like a bunch of numbers to find and random things to call. And I looked on the thing and there was a Vicky Vale line and I put that in and I listened to Vicky Vale's message. I hung up and then I called 911 and I hung up. It is fun. I think so many VR games do stuff like that and have that be the actual meat and potatoes of the game.
Got it.
Like we have all these goofy experiences and jokes. And I think that works for like a high on life kind of thing, you know what I mean? It was VR eventually. Right? Yeah. What am I thinking? I'm trying to think of the one before it that I really liked. Accounting Plus.
Yeah.
Trover Saves the Universe as well.
There's so many games that do that kind of stuff, and that's like the shtick. It's VR, it's interactive. Whereas this one feels like a real Batman game where I'm doing
like
the Predator stuff, I'm doing the free flow stuff, and then all of a sudden there's also these little VR-y Easter eggs that are, I should remember that phone number. Oh, I should scan that phone number and call it eventually.
And while they, like, the phone thing isn't like a direct Arkham thing from the other games, it feels genuine to it because of like the little, like, Arkham City, one of the big things for years after City was like finding the little codes to listen to different frequencies, and then there was the secret frequencies that like were kind of teasing the next game and all that stuff. Like those kind of like fun Easter eggs feel again genuine to the series, which I'm really impressed by.
And you can just dial a number and call people like numbers that you shouldn't have, like Vicky Vale's or Sonic the Hedgehog. Greg, LOV in the chat says the fact that Greg has Sonic the fucking Hedgehog in his phone as a contact is wild.
Yeah, I saw that one go through, and I wanted to toss in there Roger Craig Smith, of course, Sonic the Hedgehog, of course, Batman in this game, and of course, friend of the show.
Yeah,
Roger Craig Smith came by the original spare bedroom and hung out with us way too long and did exclusive podcasts and yada yada yada. But when I saw that, I was like, I wanted to save it for the end of the show because it's just a non sequitur. But who cares? We're here. Like, you all need to understand how great Roger Craig Smith is, because we are lucky enough to know a bunch of different voice actors and actors in general who are all amazing people and great people. Roger Craig Smith, for me, went to a different level. Obviously, when he came over in the old days and yada yada. But there was a time where me and Jen went to our friend's house, and he had 2 boys. And we walked in, and they were watching Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah. And at the time, 8 and 6, we'll say. Maybe a little bit older, maybe 9 and 7, I don't know. But they were young. And they were watching Sonic the Hedgehog. And I was like, oh, man, do you guys like Sonic the Hedgehog? And they're like, yeah, we watch it all the time. Blah, blah. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I busted out my phone. I texted Roger, and I'm like, dude, just so you know, these kids are here watching it, and they love Sonic the Hedgehog. And didn't miss a beat, didn't stop. Roger texts back. He goes, what grade are they in? What are their names? What are their favorite? Just ask these questions that I then got from them, sent back. And within 5 minutes, I sent it to their dad, and they played it on the speakers. And it was, hey, it's me, Sonic. Thanks for watching my show. And I hear you like PE class a lot, blah, 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 blah. And it was the funniest shit because the littlest one was like so into it. And the big kid, the big boy, 9 or 8 or whatever he was, went from the front of the couch backed up to the wall. Like he was terrified.
How does Sonic know these
Sonic
things?
and the Hedgehog knows about me. It was like the best thing, but it was like literally that shit where it's just instantaneous. And even today I called him on the stream to give him shit, but he was flying up to
shit.
Yeah, he was flying, and as soon as he landed, he called me back to be like, what I'm like, Roger Craig Smith.
He's the best.
He's the homie.
Absolute best. All right, Barrett. You've been talking very glowingly about this game, which I think most of us are surprised about because your initial reaction said something different.
Yeah.
What are your criticisms?
I was in between, again, reviews so far, like an 8 and an 8.5. And I think the big thing for me is, again, authentic to Arkham Origins maybe a little bit. The game's pretty buggy. I find myself getting caught on, what is it? Just not geography and stuff like that. Geometry. Geography is a math class. Geometry. No,
geography.
No,
is
geography. Geometry is a math class.
Do you know where Vermont is?
Yeah, it's next to New York, Roger.
Is it a state though?
And so, I'm getting stuck on geometry. The grapple up to like ledges, I feel like is always a little bit awkward. And I would say like the combat feels good in like those first like 5 hours, and they start like kind of slow rolling you different enemy types, things you've seen from the Arkham series. You got your electric baton guys, you got people with guns and all this stuff. You've got the shield boys, you've got the heavy dudes that you have to like kind of stun with your cape and then do a bunch of quick attacks on. And I would say like the game does a pretty good job at onboarding you to a lot of the different fighting styles or fighting, mechanics that you would see in an Arkham game. But I think it gets a little bit too chaotic, and I think like input kind of stuff doesn't register all the time. That can get pretty frustrating, especially when you're fighting 10 people at once and you've got like 3 shield people and a heavy armor dude, and I'm trying to do the cape stun thing, and it's not registering. It thinks I'm taking out my battering, and I'm like, God fucking damn it. So I think there's a lot of like little things like that on a technical side that I think are frustrating, especially after like nearly 10 hours, or that kind of adds up.
Sure.
But I would...
And especially playing the way we have to play for review.
Yeah.
Where it's 10 hours, and it's not a leisurely 10. You're like, I got to beat this, I got to do this. God damn it,
especially
not
with the
that.
quest running out of battery every fucking hour and a half.
How
and then
physical is it?
I'm sore. But I'm also like, I'm not like the normal VR player. Again, I have not played in 3 years. So like when I'm throwing punches, I'm throwing punches. But I saw Greg streaming earlier, and he's just doing this, and I'm like, I could probably just be playing like that. But I'm fucking punching.
I called it on the stream today when I was playing of like, it's always been the Arkham free flow combat. And there's that flow of jumping and hitting. And this one, it was very much in my head of like, let's stay in the flow here. Because it was like, I thought, going too fast, where this one was like, ding, ding, okay, boom. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need, and I'm sure if I increase difficulty, that changes timing windows or something to that effect. But I was just like doing it, enjoying it, and learning the moves here. I did make a video of Barrett playing this game. And before I goes, I want to make sure we all on the same page. No one looks cool playing VR. So this is not me mocking Barrett. This was not me mocking Barrett. It was just, I always love the idea of when I walk in the studio to get a Coke and then someone's doing something in here like VR. It's just Barrett sitting in a chair all by himself. And we have such a great studio space for VR, by the way.
Yeah, and like I initially kind of wanted to use like the big space
I love it.
to be able to walk around, but again, like my first session with it, I kind of quickly understood of like, oh no, actually walking around this game physically is very like unsettling physically for me.
Sure.
So yeah, the setup I've had is like I get a swivel chair.
I love the swiveling.
Yeah, it's stationary
Smart.
because like I love still being able to kind of like move around, but then also use the quarter turn when I need to. And so yeah, but yeah, I'm tired. I'm tired.
Yeah.
I feel it right here.
Yeah. God, that's hilarious. I love that so much. So obviously you're going to finish this game. Greg, do you see yourself completing this?
100%. I had such a good time with these 2 hours, and I shouldn't even say that because I had a good time with the original demo. Another thing I called out from going from the Gamescom preview to review is the little quality of life they added. Where it was like in the Gamescom preview, it was take the Batarang off and throw it, but you thought, and most of the time it hit where it needed to, but sometimes it wouldn't. Whereas now when you take the Batarang off, you have a reticle attached to your eyes. So you move it, and then so then you can throw the Batarang however you want. At that point, it's going to go where it's pointed. I thought, that's just one instance of something they've added. Where it's like, yeah, it feels like Batman Arkham. I love that. Again, it'll be the where am I fitting in a very crowded review season or whatever. But I am enjoying the game enough that I definitely want to get back to it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like for Arkham fans that have access to a MetaQuest 3, I think like. I
would think.
Yeah, I was so excited to tell Roger yesterday because I know Roger is also like as big of an Arkham head as myself. I would say, one of the how I discovered Roger was y'all posting that Arkham Origins video essay he like made years ago, and
I don't understand who Batman is.
And I was so stoked to go to Roger yesterday and be like, yo, like. I don't know if you have a MetaQuest, but if you don't, like, once I'm done, like, with my playthrough, you need to, like, borrow Greg's MetaQuest and play this. And he was like, oh, no, I already got one.
You gonna play Roger?
Yeah, I'm gonna play this game. I've already told Leanza, like, hey, you got to move out of the living room. That's that's the VR space now. I'm gonna play that game for this entire weekend.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to beat it today because I already felt bad last night, like taking up like an area of our apartment last night, and like telling Alyssa like, hey, I'm gonna be awkwardly in front of our like TV, a safe distance away from the TV, so you can't really watch anything in like a comfortable way. And so yeah, that's why I want to beat it today. So she doesn't have to deal with that.
You would be able to tell me better, but I rarely do this sitting to play VR because I've had so many experiences where it is now reach down and like and I'm definitely thinking of original PlayStation VR, which is what got me off of it, which is what moved me to standing. Hit the ground, do this. In my basement ceilings are low, and that's where my entertainment center is. This one, I didn't feel like I was reaching above my head ever. I felt like I come up, you click on detective mode like Batman. It's just the fucking. It's like such a little touch, but it's so fucking cool.
I love
to reach up here, and go, ping, you know what I mean? Like that's cool. But it was like
really feel like Batman.
There's you saw me with the flow combat, and that's the most active. And even for like the double smash, I didn't feel like I was bringing my hands up like Hulk and smashing down.
I was doing that a lot.
Yeah. I'm confident I
can
can play this on my couch and enjoy
myself.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of climbing and stuff like that, and
But I thought even with the climbing, most of those climbs, not all, most, you can do the grappling hook. And again, the grappling hook was another one where I was like, I feel like my stomach's gonna. It's gonna be. I had that Riggs mechanized combat PlayStation VR experience. I'll never forget where I was in it. And it's the first time I ever got horribly motion sick. Loose stool. Loose guts. Where I was going up in an elevator, and the elevator stopped, and my body felt like it kept going, and that's when I was like immediately sick to my stomach. And so like the fact I don't know. And again, I have VR legs. That was my first few experiences of the VR. The ability here to grapple to something and not feel like I'm continuing to fly is great.
Another compliment I want to give the game I couldn't find a place to put it. Please. Is right before the title card hits after the near the end of the first chapter, there's a moment that happens like a little bit before it that like got me to pop and yell holy shit in our apartment. And I think again like the way that they're able to play around with characters and lore and add more depth to the Arkhamverse in really fun, interesting ways that make me go, damn, now I want to see like what this thread is that I know is probably not going to be followed up in this game, but like somewhere, like I need more. And it's like this game has definitely reawakened my like, oh fuck, I love this universe so much. And so again, I think there's so many little tidbits that Arkham fans are, you know, really gonna chow down on and like really think about for years and years and years until whenever we get another Arkham game.
I bet you get another one of these before you get another Rocksteady or whoever official Arkham entry.
Yeah.
Honestly, this is like, it's so heartwarming and amazing to hear that this game,
it's incredible,
despite all odds, is as good as you're saying it is. And to you, Barrett, like as such a big fan of that franchise, like, and it's just, I feel like you are, not to put words in your mouth, but like a VR doubter. Like you're down for good experiences, but like you are not looking to like VR. And for this to kind of like get past that and be a game, a full game, an Arkham game that you are enjoying this much, it's like I feel like that is. I mean, literally, when you told me your thoughts on it a couple days ago, like it warmed my body. Like I was like excited for you.
Yeah, I'm down on VR less so because of the experiences, like you said. Like I'm down for good experiences. It's more so just like the viability of the market and like how niche and small it is and all this stuff. That's mainly my question, and kind of like the accessibility in terms of like fans of series being able to get to experience these games and shelling out another few $100s to get a new platform to play these games on. And like that's an interesting one because like the more I played this game, guys, the more angry I got because obviously I'm enjoying my time, but I'm like, how the fuck has it been 11 years since we've gotten Arkham Origins, and it's been 11 years, and finally we're getting a sequel to Arkham Origins. Yeah. It's been 8 years since Batman Arkham VR. Like, why has it taken so long to get us back to the story, specifically Batman, and do something with it, especially with like Origins feeling like it was teeing up another trilogy led by WB Montreal, and then that kind of going nowhere, and that turning into Gotham Knights and all that stuff.
It's almost like WB doesn't know what they're doing. Not WB Montreal, Warner Brothers Interactive.
Yeah, and it was just like,
where the fuck's Wonder Woman?
It's just really,
where's the Superman game?
It's just really, it put me in this kind of existential, like, while I'm also high on the game, it was also putting me in this existential state, and that was more so of like why I had the reaction that I had from the initial reaction video from the announcement trailer, right? It was less so of the pedigree of camouflage. It was less so that it was
for sure.
a VR Batman game. It was more so of like, what are we doing with this franchise, and why is it taking it so long, WB so long to figure out what they want to do with it, and why is it a VR game? And that's like to the point of like, if you're an Arkham fan who does not have a Quest, like I don't know if I could, like, if this is a must, like you gotta pay $300. How much a Quest 3S or whatever it is. Yeah. Like, I don't know if it's worth. I think it's worth the time. I can't tell you if it's worth the entry point, which I find very frustrating. Just for the Arkham fans in general of what WB is kind of, again, I would say still kind of floundering with this. I would say really interesting universe for Batman. So in that aspect, I don't know. It's got me into like this weird, like I'm having a great time, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, what? Like, why did it take so long? Why was this game not out 10 years ago? And it, being a flat screen game or whatever, it's just like, it drives me insane.
Hopefully they hear you. Right, that would be the thing. I mean, I think obviously with the reaction to Suicide Squad, the rumors Rocksteady's trying to make another Batman game. Yeah, they do, but it's just like,
and it's crazy that it's not an internal studio that like did this to show, like, to kind of prove with the review scores and all this stuff of like, hey, fans of this series just want what the series was, not to have the devs who originally worked on the series to make different types of games that nobody's into. It's just like, what are we doing?
Any final thoughts on this, Greg?
I can't wait to play more. I'm stoked for it. I'm still working on Redacted, and I got a couple other Redacteds after that. But I'll get to it. I'm going to enjoy myself, yeah. Are you this do anything for you?
No, I mean...
I don't remember what your read were on the Arkham games to begin with.
Never played.
You're a piece of trash.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean?
Sicken me.
They
sicken me.
Atlas puts out a JRPG. This guy's like, I gotta play it.
Hey, you know what? You don't sicken me. You only kind of sicken me.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. Barrett, any final thoughts on it?
Honestly, really impressed by this game. I forget if I said this at the top, but like this has a shot of being in my top 10 at the end of the year. Like, and that was and like I know I'm giving it an 8, but I'm such a big Arkham head, and my love for the series and like like Arkham Origins is my it's a mess, but like whatever year that came out, like that would have been in my top 10 just because I love Batman. I love this universe. I think what Camouflage made here is really, really impressive. So again, if you have access to a Quest 3 or Quest 3S or what have you, definitely I would say like this is, and you're an Arkham fan, this is a must play.
Hell yes. Thank you so much for an excellent review, Barrett. You crushed that. And everybody watching, thank you for hanging out with us all day. We've been live all day, but we're not done yet. We still have right now. If you're watching on Twitch, you can stay where you are. If on YouTube, you're going to need to make the jump over. Fear the Spotlight. We're gonna that's you and Nick.
Yeah.
You and Nick, Blumhouse Games, new little horror game.
Ooh.
We're getting spooky. It's Halloween season, so have some fun there. Get some good scares in. And then if you are a Kind of Funny member in a little bit, we're also going to be doing the monthly happy hour where you can actually call in. We're all going to talk together. It's a great time every single month. But stay where you are. Keep watching us. Thank you so much. Goodbye. I love you.